Hello, guys. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Natasha.
And we were wondering,
are you free for coffee?
Welcome, welcome.
Hey, guys.
We're going to talk about real estate today.
Yes. And I want to give like a special thank you. We do listen when you guys reach out to us and you're like, oh, what about this topic? Or what do you think about that? We love that. We love topic ideas. And this was one that someone presented to us. Like, what are your thoughts on home rental versus home ownership? And we were like, we would love to chat about this.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. So right now, I think the country is experiencing like a big upturn in real estate prices, both rental and buying.
Yes.
So especially you millennials and people just getting into the real estate market, it's kind of a little daunting because everything's very expensive. Like, and I love my stats. So the average rent is $2,000 a month in America. And you should make about 3 times your rent amount, which is just a recommendation, which is $6,000 a month or $72,000 per year. But the average salary in the U.S. is $51,000. So there's a little discrepancy there, a little difference. So it's
$22,000.
Right. So it's more expensive. Everything's more expensive to rent and to buy.
Yes.
So there are some big considerations for either. My feeling, the benefit of rental is just if you're in a stage of your life where you're kind of transitional, you're not sure exactly where you want to be in terms of, a city or a town, you're not sure about your job situation, it's subject to change soon, or
even maybe family size
or family. You're kind of up in the air. Renting is better in a case like that. Even when you just don't want the responsibility of home ownership, because it is. Now, when you live in an apartment or even renting a house, you call the landlord or the super or the manager or whoever. And if your water goes out, if there's a leak, if your air conditioner is not working, and you have someone that will come and repair that.
Right.
When you own a home, it's on you, boo.
Yes.
So you're going to call someone, but you're going to pay for it.
You're going to pay it. Yeah.
So if you don't want that responsibility, if you don't want to deal with a yard, or even if you're like a zero lotter in a townhouse where you don't really have a lot of yard, you still there's a certain degree of maintenance, even outdoor maintenance that you have to deal with. HOA fees, HOA requirements, that's all would be relative to you, your responsibility. So if you just don't want to deal with it, and there are times in your life when you just don't that's just, I don't want to do that.
I'm not in the season of wanting to do this.
Yeah. So of course it would be better for you to rent. And like I said, if you're in a transitional stage of your life where you're not sure where you're going to be, what your job is going to be, or what job you want, you're in one city or town, you're not sure you want to stay there, there's no reason for you to buy a house.
Right.
And even if I'm going to be in this town, say 2 years, well, typically they tell you it takes 3 years for you to even recoup your investment.
Right.
So for you even to get out what you put in, it takes 3 years.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to be there for the 3 years, don't put your money in that.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with owning a home is it is an investment that you are living in. You are living in your investment. In your investment. Yes. So,
and it should be looked at that way. And I don't think it always is. Like, I don't know. It's really interesting because even like we have neighbors right now that, I feel like they just moved. They did just move there, and they're selling because the market is hot, but they were used to renting and they were like, oh my God, we don't want to do this. Like, just kidding. We don't want to do this. They used their VA loan, got the house, and we started seeing maybe a month ago, like some major stuff like, ooh, they're gutting this, and we're looking at stuff for bulk, like, oh, they got new cabinets. And, I'm like, oh, nice. And I was like, oh man, they're going to sell. And my husband's like, why are you saying that? I'm like, it's too all of a sudden. Like, it hasn't been like a slow, like, ooh, baby, let's fix this, or ooh, let's work on that. It was just like flip. That's
what we got to get done.
What we have to get done to sell it. And so they painted the brick white, which is really in right now. Did these like really cute kind of rustic shutters, and then boom, for sale, coming soon sign. I was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
And we spoke to them briefly, and it was just kind of one of those where they were just used to renting. And so they just felt overwhelmed by owning a home. My personal experience has been, and we do not own our home. We rented on purpose. We were like, let's test drive this. Like, let's test drive renting a home. Like, do we like this? And something that I can say, it's easy. We talked about this earlier. Oh, be careful, y'all, with these open houses. Be careful with these model homes, honey. It spurs discontent because it's set up to make you dream and be whimsical.
It's
this could be so nice.
Car. Like, okay, you can research a car and the base price is XYZ.
Right.
And then when you go in and you test drive a car, oh, the seats are an upgrade. Mm-hmm. The wheels are an upgrade. This steering wheel is an upgrade.
Oh, that steering wheel heats up. That's an upgrade.
Yeah. So
Sunroof,
that's what
upgrade.
They're trying to, and
that's
the
what
homes
they do.
are the same
They're the
thing.
exact same
so
thing.
So the base price is XYZ, right. But this one, this is $5 million. It's like, because we've added this and that.
And then like, really, you look at this furniture, and some of this furniture, baby, you can't afford it. You're not going to go get that furniture in there.
It's really custom, like
yes.
Some rooms. It's hard to judge sometimes when you see a home and you're thinking, oh, that couch fits there. Well, little do you know that's a custom couch.
That couch was made for that.
Yes. It's going to be hard to find something that small,
right?
Or that big, or whatever the issue is. So that's a benefit of renting. I
feel like it's test driving. It has been for us,
and even for areas. You know what I mean? Because you can, in theory, you can think, oh, I love this area. I love this town.
That's what happened to us.
And then you move there and you think, well, I don't like this so much.
And you know what? We like it, but we don't love it enough to buy at the market value where we live. We're just, we like it. We do. We don't hate where we live. We enjoy it. Would we spend what they're asking on a home? Absolutely not. Not going to happen.
Because you don't know that until you live a place.
Yes.
Like, okay, I really want to be closer to a grocery. Right. I really want to be closer to the freeway.
To this specific,
I want to be closer to my job. I want to be closer to my church.
Right.
Whatever the issue is. And you don't know that until you live.
You do.
So it is wise to test drive the area unless you know it really well.
And that's what we did. We knew the area really well. Like we did. We knew the area well. We picked it out based on a school. Spoiler alert. Even that isn't always wise because we picked it out knowing that in like 18 months to 2 years, our oldest is going to go to this school. We really like this school. And then they built all these houses and it changed. And that's no longer the homeschool for our address.
Oh, okay.
So,
they redistricted.
Okay. And no dig at the other school. It's just, that was that was a selling point. And then all these fields that I loved because I was like, oh, look at those cornfields and the wheat. Baby, that's all houses now. And because that's all houses, it changed the school. It changed the layout. I wanted a very country feel. It feels less and less country every 6 months.
Our last home was like that too. When we bought it, it was very country. And in fact, that was the kind of the logo of the town, keeping it country, which they took that sign down because it ain't country no more.
It's not anymore.
But, things
and so sometimes
changed.
Test driving really matters.
They changed, and Texas is a very fast growing state.
Yes.
Like a lot of people are moving here. So there's lots of activity, lots of building, lots of selling.
Yes.
So things are changing. one thing, just like we're saying, you're living in your investment. I want you to really understand that. Those of you who have 401ks or you invest in the stock market, that is not a quick thing. That's not a quick turnaround. So just know that your house will be like that. Even though we're in a hot market now, I will tell you, I would bet my bottom dollar on it. It's going to change.
Oh, yes.
It's going to change. I have lived through multiple downturns in the economy, in the housing industry. So now we're on kind of an upswing. So things are inflated. They really are. So housing prices are inflated. So for you millennials who are kind of losing hope and like, how are we ever going to afford a house? Because things are so expensive. It's not always going to be this way.
Mm-mm.
But just know, when you decide to buy, and you probably will, and I'm an advocate of that, because that is the quickest way to wealth in America. Mm-hmm. That is how most people build their wealth. Mm-hmm. So if you have a retirement plan, you have a 401k, you do stocks, whatever you are doing to invest, that's not a quick turnaround. Your house will be the same. It's going to appreciate, but it might not be as quickly as what's going on now.
Right.
So just know that, and just know that you're kind of in it in the long haul. I would advise y'all listening, you millennials, if you're just getting into it, this is something that I did not know when I got into it, but I do now and have advised my children, and they have done. Your first home, your starter home, should be a smaller home, mm-hmm. because number one, it'll be easier to sell because there's always new people coming in and
who
people
are looking
getting
for
into
a
starter home. And if you ever want to rent a home, like maybe you get into a place where you've gotten this paid off or paid down a lot and you're ready to move on, and you think, well, maybe I don't want to sell it. I could rent it for mm-hmm. a while. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Right.
That's the size of a house you want, where you'd be able to do that. If you buy a big home, the market's not as good for that.
Yeah.
So I would advise
and during
that.
any time where you do not have a tenant, that's a much bigger expense for you to hold on
it
to.
Could be a real issue.
Yes,
absolutely. But buying, you have to really do your research in terms of school districts and ease of commuting.
Yeah.
Like how
close are you to XYZ?
And where do I have to go? Like how far, depending on where I work, how long is the commute going to be?
Right.
Do I have easy access to a freeway or the freeway that I need?
How far is the hospital?
How far is the hospital? How far is the school?
Right.
Are your kids in any athletics, or they take classes somewhere to a particular place? All those things come into play. Yes. So when they say location,
it's the truth.
It's very true. And I think the number one thing would be schools, and especially if you have school-age kids, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
or if you're at a season where you do not have kids,
it still matters.
It still matters because you don't want to live right up on a freaking elementary school if you don't have kids. That might be a major deterrent for you. So it still matters.
It does matter.
It does.
And it still matters for when you sell. If you decide
to
sell,
that's
or
true.
If you're forced to sell, like you're
because if you're selling this as a beginner, small family home, the school's really important. That's a selling point.
Even a big home, the schools are important.
And I think I'm going to veer and say bigger is not always better. Our own personal experience was we had an opportunity to buy, and we decided no, because we just got swept up in these big homes, and we were so in love, and we're like, we'll just save some more because we want to go this route. I mean, and guys, we were really close to being okay with being house poor. We were just we'll just forget date night. We're going to be at home, which, by the way, don't do that, guys. Don't. Yeah. Always leave room in your budget for wiggle room, incidentals, date nights, groceries,
the movies.
Yes, the movies.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
You need self-care, so do not be house broke. But at that time, we were just so in love with this one particular builder and the set of homes, and This isn't a builder that's all over Texas. So it's kind of like you have to go to where they are because they are where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And while I still love the layouts of those homes and all that's wonderful, 2 and at this point 3/4 kids later, I don't want to clean all that. Oh my gosh. Like it seemed lovely at the time, like very whimsical. We were expecting our first child and oh, this could be their room and we could do this and blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, oh my God, someone has to clean all of this.
It's a crumb catcher.
This is, oh my gosh. I mean,
Well,
so bad.
That's something to consider also if you decide to buy is not only the mortgage and the taxes and
the help,
the utilities. If it's a bigger house, your utilities will be
how many
more.
air conditioners does this take?
And this is Texas, so you're gonna need them.
You need
they're going to be running.
Ones. Yes.
If the yard is bigger, are you a yard person? Do you like to fool in the yard?
Or if you're house poor and you're having to work overtime to keep this house, do you have the extra money to pay a yard man?
Right. Or the swimming pool person.
Yes.
Or if the house is really big and you really don't have the time to clean it or nor do you want to, you need a cleaning person.
Right.
And there's a lot of other incidentals that are involved in owning a home that you need to budget for.
Yes. And I think that's why renting is a really good example. Like you don't get stuck with the big stuff like, hey, our AC went out. Oh no. But you do have to figure out, at least in our case, like we have to maintain the yard. Well, now we know how much time that truly takes.
Yes.
You don't use the mower in the winter, then you go to start the stupid thing and it doesn't work. And you need a new mower. I mean, these are all things we've experienced. We're like, what the heck? Like, this is a mess, just stuff that you wouldn't know. I feel like if you jump from like maybe living with roommates or living with parents or an apartment just into buying a house. And there is a trend right now. You're seeing a lot of people go from renting like apartments or townhomes to getting these big houses because it's Texas, right? So we have this mentality that everything is bigger is better. It's not always, y'all, but that's just us. Go big or go home.
I'm telling you, if it's your first house, I would advise going
small to moderate.
I would. Yep. And then, you can take the next step.
Yes.
But as an investment.
And then you may know what you really need.
Right. But as an investment, if you could pay for it in, 7 years. And FYI, if you make an extra payment a year, it cuts your mortgage time in half.
I was talking to a friend of mine.
Nearly half.
Nearly
Nearly
half.
half.
She went to get her nails done yesterday. First time getting this like special whatever done. Anyway, she's talking to the manicurist and because it's a one-on-one setting. And the husband pays the mortgage, but they have 2 or 3 rental properties. But in the home that they live in, which they basically did what you're saying, small, another small with a little bit more, backyard, moderate. And so every house they're renting it out, right? So they have multiple streams of income because you're renting these homes out. And so the house they live in now, he pays the mortgage every month and he pays it, X amount of days early. Well, every other month, she makes an additional payment on the mortgage. So it's like every other month, I'm going to pretend Lisa didn't just pay this and I'm going to pay it too. They're paying the thing off in 7 years. How smart is that?
Yeah. So if you do that and you buy a home in a desirable area with a great school, you won't have any trouble renting it out.
Right.
You really won't. So that's an option. That's something to think about. And as I said, I have lived through multiple downturns in the economy, so I know this is not going to last. So if you guys are feeling discouraged, don't. But I'm encouraging you to save your money.
Get your coins together, boo.
So when this goes down,
and
cash will be king.
Yes.
So if you have enough cash to put a big down payment or maybe even pay for a house, because depends on how far it goes down. I mean, it can be like that.
Yeah.
And you can have something. And remember this too, location. So if it's in a good area with a good school system, you can afford to get a less desirable house. Maybe it's not the cutest one on the street, but you could fix it up. It has potential. That gives you a lot of wiggle room.
Right.
You get a lower price, not as cute house, but it's in a great area. Great neighborhood. Yes. You can fix that up and really.
Yeah. And even with that, don't bite off more than you can chew.
No.
Don't.
And this is only for you handy people.
Yes.
Now don't, if you're not, that's not your jam, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But I'm just saying, if it is your jam and you can see yourself doing it, that's a great way to get into that entry level.
Yes.
In a great neighborhood. Yes. And, maybe the house isn't as great, but you could see where it could be improved.
Right.
Like it wouldn't take just a whole lot of effort, a whole lot of imagination to make it
better.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's an option for you. But I guess we just want to encourage you. And I think everyone should own real estate, just like I said, for your own economic health.
Yes.
Because it's the only thing that God is not making any more land.
Right.
I mean, what's here is what's here. They're not getting any more.
Yes.
You can't expand it. You can't, make more of it. It is what it is.
Yes.
So it will always be of some value.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where, like I said, I didn't know that as a young person. No one told me that.
Yeah.
So I'm telling y'all.
Yeah. I agree.
Save your money when you are able and when you're in a position and a place in your life where you can stay for at least 3 years. I think it's a good idea if you're in the headspace to do it. Now, if you're not, don't. But if that ticks off all the boxes, like I can be responsible, I don't mind cutting the grass, I've got a little extra cash, I can pay someone to do X, Y, Z, all those things that we discussed, I think it's a great idea to own a home.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live there forever. It doesn't have to be your forever home, but be wise in your choices, sit down, think about where you are, what your needs are, and approach it as an investment.
Yes.
Just like your 401k, you're not going to turn around tomorrow and make money and take it out.
And be woohoo.
You got to just leave it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of housing. You're going to be there at least 3 years, maybe 5, maybe 10.
Right.
And just with that knowledge, okay, in 10 years, write down your goals, what this house is going to do for you. Maybe we want it to be a rental. Maybe we want to sell it for a profit and pour it into another home. Whatever it is, it's an investment and it's not a quick turnaround.
No.
So these, what you see flipping on TV,
it takes patience.
Not.
Yeah,
probably
it takes
not.
patience.
You got to really know what you're doing.
You're going to live in your investment.
You're going to live in your investment. And unless you really know what you're doing, leave that flipping alone.
And let me tell you, they lose money too.
Oh, they do.
I don't know if this is
good
ever
flips and
there's bad flips. Yeah, I don't know if this has ever come up, but that's what my dad does not flip homes. My dad, the joke is he's like Jesus. He's a white carpenter with long blonde hair and blue eyes, and we all know Jesus doesn't look like that, but that's been the joke since I was a kid. And my dad's like he can't. Some of those shows, like he can't take it. Because he's like, oh, that's bullshit. Like this would cost you this, and this. He's like, I'm telling you, they're getting these materials.
It's entertainment.
It is. And they're getting some of those materials at a discount just to show Behr paint in the background, Sherwin-Williams paint in the background, such and such drywall, Pink Panther insulation. So guys, don't y'all look at that. It
gives you good ideas.
It does.
But, let's be realistic. Unless you are handy like Natasha's dad or
even like me.
Or, you're a realtor or somebody who really knows the market and knows things, the average person, amateur can't do that.
Y'all don't try to gut us.
But you can make money in owning and selling a home. And I have done that. And I'm grateful that I've been able to do that. So
y'all, Lisa is a home connoisseur.
So
I want y'all to know.
I do love real estate, and I do believe that is the quickest, most foundational way to accrue wealth.
Yeah.
And
it's the least risky way.
That's it. And y'all know I'm risk averse.
I knew you were going to say that.
I've said that many times. I'm not trying to gamble. So that's the way to do that. So
I agree.
there are seasons. So that's what we're saying. I guess we both agree with that. There are seasons for rental and there are seasons to buy.
Yeah.
And you just have to know what season you're in.
Yes.
And what your threshold is.
Yes.
What you're willing to
and
do.
what your
what
goals
you're
are for the future as well.
What your goals are, what you're willing and or not willing to pay for.
I agree.
That's it.
So who do you have this week as your sexiest rental alive? Because, you know, our sexiest man alive changes every week. So I guess they're like rentals.
That's all. Quick rentals.
Quick.
Airbnbs. They're not even long rentals.
They are Airbnb. Who do you have?
I'm picking Steve Martin. And why? Okay, let me tell y'all. If you guys have been watching him on Only Murders in the Building, the second season dropped recently, and it's kind of like the book you did for book club, you know, the cozy mysteries.
Oh yes.
This is a cozy mystery,
hot and sour suspect,
right?
Yeah,
but it's a TV show.
Okay,
but it's him and Selena Gomez and Martin Short, right? I believe. Yes.
Yes. You know,
it's adorable.
I need to watch
and
this.
I'm not really a mystery lover.
I am,
but I love it. It is just adorable and cute and mystery, but funny mystery and cozy mystery.
Ooh.
So it, you know, and he looks so cute. You know, he's funny. He's funny and he's cute. He's got white hair and, you know.
No, I mean, I think he's a cutie. I didn't know.
Cute middle-aged sex symbol.
For the week.
For the week.
So mine is Andy Williams from Flip or Flop, which is, you know, one of those cool TV shows.
Is this on HGTV?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think they're in Fort Worth, Texas. Like, that was the whole thing.
Flip or Flop Fort Worth.
Yes,
okay. Yeah, they have different towns, don't they?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Again, guys, I don't watch enough TV to be
because the other
informed.
Flip or Flop, there's one in California, and I think there's one. I want to say in
maybe
Nashville.
That's why sometimes when I see them, I'm like, I don't recognize this.
Yeah, who are
I didn't realize this was a whole nother state. Okay, that explains it. But I like his smile.
Well, that's a Texas connection.
Yes.
Okay.
So I like his smile, his gorgeous smile, very, very clear, just perfect chocolate complexion. So
and he's doing what we're telling y'all not to do, but he's a professional.
But that's the difference.
don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. This is not for everybody. Okay, loves. Thank you for pulling up a chair and joining us for this coffee episode on renting versus owning. Please subscribe to Are You Free for Coffee podcast wherever you are listening. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode and find joy in the little things. Until next time.
Part of the Boundless Audio Podcast Network.